The Columbus City Council meeting for February 20th, 2024 will now come to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Yes, I will. Okay, Bulkley,
Here.
Aldercone.
Here.
Barr,
Here.
Freshour,
Here.
Hemer.
Here.
Jablonski.
Here.
Lopez, Roth,
Here.
Schilling.
Here.
Mayor Bulkley, the roll has been called.
Thank you. Mr. Council President.
Our Father, thank you for the opportunity to serve our fellow citizens. Please give us your wisdom and guidance to make the proper decisions entrusted to this governmental body. May our conduct show respect, honor, and courtesy to each other, as well as to all our citizens. Amen.
Amen.
Sing it, Ron.
Start, Ron.
It's running.
With one eye.
Do the one-eye version. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, Ron.
Good job.
Thank you for leading us in that, Councilman Schilling. Welcome, everyone, to tonight's council meeting. If at any time during our meeting, anyone in our audience would like to come forward and address any item on our agenda, we'd welcome you to please do that. Come forward to the podium, give your name, your address, and we'd ask that you keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. With that, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Item 4, consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a City Council member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from consent status and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Item 4A, minutes of the February 5th, 2024 City Council meeting. Item 4B, minutes of the February 12th, 2024 Civil Service Commission meeting, certifying firefighter candidates Ned Gortson, Patricia Hawthorne, and Colt Hickey, and selecting Thomas Ernst, Ethan Morrow, Dustin Sanner, Ron Sparkman, Craig Warnick, and Dalton Witt as additional firefighter candidates for potential positions in the future. Item 4C, Northeast Nebraska Area Agency on Aging 2025 budget and application for funding of the senior center. Item 4D, resolution number R24-15, accepting the community development block grant 23-DTR-003 from the Nebraska Department of Economic Development for the amount of $435,000 for downtown revitalization. Item 4E, resolution number R24-16, authorizing payment of various improvement projects. Item 4F, Finance Department reports. And item 4G, payroll and bills on file. Mr. Mayor and councilors, is there anything you would like removed from the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I move that the items on the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Brings us up to special presentations.
Item 6A, proclamation declaring week of February 18th, 2024 as Engineers Week.
I have a proclamation I'd like to read on behalf of that. Whereas engineers use their scientific and technical knowledge and skills in creative and innovative ways to fulfill society's needs. And whereas engineers face the major technical challenges of our time, from rebuilding towns devastated by natural disasters, cleaning up the environment, and assuring safe, clean, and efficient sources of energy, to designing information systems that will speed our country into the future. And whereas engineers are encouraging our young math and science students to realize the practical power of their knowledge, and whereas we will look more than ever to engineers and their knowledge and skills to meet the challenges of the 21st century. Now, therefore, I, James B. Bulkley, the mayor of the city of Columbus of Nebraska, do hereby proclaim February 18th through 2024 as Engineers Week in the city of Columbus, and we urge all citizens to recognize and celebrate the contributions of engineers to our community and support engineering programs and educational opportunities. I think it's important to say we have 3 engineers on our staff here at the city, and I think at one time I heard something about the city of Columbus having more engineers per capita than any other city in Columbus because of the industry that's based here. So I think it's pretty evident of the importance that engineers mean to our community. And for those 3 on our staff, I'd like to say thank you and keep up the good work. All right, with that, we'll move on to public hearings.
Item 7A, public hearing, redevelopment plan for the 8th Street residential subdivision redevelopment project northwest of the intersection of 8th Street and 3rd Avenue. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Is there anyone here this evening to speak against this public hearing? Is anyone here to speak for this public hearing?
Mr. Mayor, I move the public hearing be closed.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay.
We need to vote again?
Say what?
I got a double vote.
I don't, I just look up at the screen and see what y'all get.
And I'm not even Democrats.
Motion passes.
Item 7A1, resolution number R24-17, approving the redevelopment plan.
Mr. Mayor, I move resolution number R24 now mine says 16 and 17 be adopted.
I think it's 17.
Okay.
The motion is incorrect. The actual is 17.
Okay. So I move resolution number R24-17 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number R24-17. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
In the literature, one of the 29 pages, it mentions that there is one house that has to be taken down, but there's 3 there. Are they just, is it the very east one?
It is the very west that is part of this property.
It's the old house, right?
It's the old
Okay.
farmstead. That's part of this
It's
acquisition.
Sean Lewis's house.
And then they say that none of the neighbors will be impacted by the roundabout. Are they going to be that big enough that they're not going to be?
Well, it's undecided. Really, the roundabouts are in here in case there is excess redevelopment funds available at the end of the project.
Oh.
I'm not certain that there will be.
Okay.
But we put that infrastructure work in there because if there is, then we can do that with the funds. And the design that, the preliminary designs the engineering ran, it could be possible.
Okay.
But all of that is very preliminary and really, like I said, I don't anticipate we'll actually have funds to do that, but we needed to put it in here just in case we do.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I have, there's a statement in there stating that with the school, that, the school would be able to handle the the student. And I'll tell you right now, the school couldn't handle it. So I'm hoping that we include the school system in our
So-
program and, and when it comes time where they're gonna have to have another school, that we as a city might wanna support their efforts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that legally the city can
Well, I
support school
understand.
efforts for schools, but I do understand, and the school districts, every taxing entity is notified of when redevelopment plans happen, so they got notice
Okay.
of, then
Because
they'll,
putting, you have 336 units.
Right.
Figure one kid per unit,
correct.
that adds a big bunch,
Mm-hmm.
and Centennial is full right now,
Yes,
so.
That does a lot to fuel some of the issues that they'll be bringing
Yes,
forth
oh,
to
definitely.
the public
definitely.
here in the
But the
future.
public's gotta have to understand.
Absolutely.
That's what the situation is. I
Yep.
mean, that's,
City's growing. Yes, sir.
Part of the diagram indicated that a large area of this development is going to be zoned B2. Could you give us an indication of how much of that area and what kind of development you expect to take part in that place?
yeah, in the preliminary assessment, we estimated that about 10 acres would be B2, and that would be what's along the 8th Street frontage. And really, the purpose of that is so we can be as flexible as possible with the builder RFPs that are received. So almost all high-density housing is B2. So if you think about like the flats on Fifth, that is B2. So really, it's a mechanism to be able to allow higher density than an R3.
against the
That's why.
cemetery.
And it also allows, like, we talked to one developer and they talked about daycare or businesses on the main level. So it would allow that as well.
Any other discussion? Yes, sir.
I was wondering about the street width. Are we going to make it so that, because we're gonna have parking on the street? And it could be,
Internal to the subdivision?
yeah, it could be, quite congested if you use the regular narrow streets. Can we widen those?
That will all be considered when we do the plating. After review of the builder RFPs is complete, we'll be putting the plat together, and that will all come back through Planning Commission and City
Okay.
Council.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 7B, public hearing, application of Meadow Ridge Properties LLC for final plat and development agreement of Meadow Ridge 11th Edition. This is at 49th Avenue and 42nd Street. This is continued from the January 15th, 2024 meeting. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Is there anyone here this evening to speak against this public hearing? Anyone here to speak for this public hearing?
Mr. Mayor, move the public hearing be closed.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes. Let's see, motion passes.
There's a second motion.
Okay, I move that the final plat and development agreement with Meadow Ridge 11th Edition be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the final plat. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 7B1, public hearing, determine whether Meadow Ridge 11th Edition should be included within the corporate city limits. This was continued from the January 15th, 2024 meeting. The Planning Commission recommends approval. Public hearing.
Anybody here to speak against this public hearing? Anyone here to speak for this public hearing?
I move that public hearing be closed.
Second. We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Mr. Mayor, I move we include Meadow Ridge 11th edition with the corporate city limits.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to include Meadow Ridge 11th subdivision into the corporate city limits. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 7B2, resolution number R24-18, approving the final plat development agreement and bringing said addition into the corporate city limits.
Mr. Mayor, move that resolution R24-18 be adopted.
Second. We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number R24-18. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 7C, public hearing, application of Ziegler Investment Properties LLC for a final plat and development agreement of Cousins Corner, 4th Edition. This is on the north side of 8th Street at 10th Avenue. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Is there anyone here to speak against this public hearing? Anyone here to speak for this public hearing? All right.
Mr. Mayor, I motion that the public hearing be closed.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 7C1, resolution number R24-19, approving the final plat and development agreement.
Mr. Mayor, I motion that resolution number R24-19 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution R24-19. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 7D, public hearing, application of Loop Rentals LLC to rezone 1822 Second Street from R2, two-family residential district, to R3, multifamily residential district, and to amend the future land use map of the comprehensive plan. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Is there anyone here to speak against this public hearing? Anyone here to speak for this public hearing? Well, we're glad to have you.
3919 25th Street, here on behalf of Loop Rentals. Just wanted to, I guess, say a few things on the matter that were kind of brought up at the Planning Commission meeting. But this is a vacant lots on Second Street that are owned by Loop Rentals. I do have John and Mark Beerbend that are also here this evening if there's any questions. The purpose of this is they plan to develop those into duplexes on those two vacant lots because of the lot coverage allowed by R3 to make it a two-stall garage as opposed to a single-stalled garage, and to try to keep more parking off of the streets, as kind of was brought up in an earlier matter. They were asking for the R3, but wanted to just make clear it wasn't intended that we're going to build a multi-family dwelling unit that'll be a duplex with a two-bedroom on slab, correct? So would happy to try to answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions, council?
No.
It's going to be two-bedroom units?
Correct.
Because it's over two lots, correct? Yeah, okay.
Well, it'll be two
Two-bedroom apartment.
buildings each with two units.
Correct.
And each unit will have two bedrooms.
Right.
So two.
Two? Gotcha.
Yes, two.
Gotcha.
That's why they're here, to
Yep.
answer the questions.
All right, any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Without any further discussion, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 7D1, ordinance number 24-05, approving the rezoning.
Mr. Mayor, I move the rules be suspended and ordinance number 24-05 be read by number only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read ordinance number 24-05 by number only. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Ordinance number 24-05.
Mr. Mayor, I move ordinance number 24-05 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. No, I'm sorry, we have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 24-05. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 7E, public hearing, application of St. Bonaventure's Church of Columbus to rezone property located south of 15th Street between 15th Avenue and 16th Avenue from R2, two-family residential district, to R3, multifamily residential district, and to amend the future land use map of the comprehensive plan. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Anyone here to speak against this public hearing? Yes, please come forward.
Hello, my name is Renee Held, and I live at 1618 14th Street. It's kind of around the corner from this particular plot of land. I do want to comment that the Byermans, their other rental properties are all well kept. I've had to interview people that live in those houses, and so it'll be a nice addition to the neighborhood. But I do want to point out that the composition of the neighborhood has changed since that property was originally platted many, many years ago. And that even though it was platted for 4 properties back then, no properties were ever built. And the current neighborhood is a combination of rentals and single-family homes. And the rentals are what I'm here to point out. I live next to a couple of houses that are rentals, and I find that they have, one house has 7 cars that are accumulated all around the yard and the street. There's an apartment complex straight across the street. Again, the cars are all over the place. When we had the last storm, they failed to remove their cars in time for the plowing of the snow, which made a whole disaster out on the street, on 14th Street. And my concern is the parking. I've been assured that there'll be off-street parking with the 2 garages. Even Ron Schilling brought up about the parking on your new addition, and it is a major concern, especially when homes are allowed to have more than probably what they should have as a single-family residence. And that was another concern of mine. I guess if these are going to be targeted to older adults, then the possibility of not having a complete household in every bedroom might not be as severe. But the one house next door to me is a house with every bedroom having a family in it, which is why there's 7 cars, which is very disturbing for me to see all these cars all over. And also the apartments between the 2 of them, I have garbage in my yard all over the place. So that's another concern, that when you bring in rental people, they don't care in some regards. And so that is my concern. I've been assured by the family and Mr. Milak that that probably won't occur, but I do want to bring it to everyone's attention, not only for this addition, but for any place where there'll be rental properties. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your concerns are well taken. Anyone else to speak against this public hearing? Please come forward.
Okay, my name is Bill Twork. I live at 1514 14th Street. I'm not up here really to say I'm against it. I'm really not for it. I just want to base my opinion. And my opinion is, first of all, did anybody pay taxes on that property for the last 35 years? Means it was St. Bonds?
Probably not.
I don't know.
Probably not, right?
It was
I-
It's probably exempt, but
Yeah, so
Since it's
what I'm
changed.
trying to say is, I'm for it because, number one, it'll give you guys probably another $30,000, so that's a plus for you guys. And my next thing is for 35 years, I was disappointed in the city because it felt like St. Bon's was exempt from all the city rules. I'm sure you guys have gone to the compactor in your, I mean, not the compactor, where they dropped off all the paper and stuff. I'm sure every one of you guys have been there. And every one of you had to see the mess that was accumulating all the time. And it seemed like the answer to the problem was bring in more dumpsters. The more dumpsters they brought in, the more trash people brought over there. And at nighttime, we'd sit outside and we'd see people come in there with kids with flashlights, digging through the dumpsters, pulling out papers, and giving them to the parents. They'd stick them into the car. God only knows what they were looking for. And then contamination, that people dumped everything. I think I have an article back there from the city that I just pulled up today that said one of the reasons I think they shut it down was contamination problems.
Mr. Torek, I hear what you're saying, but please address concerns about the development that's coming in with this redevelopment.
Right, so what I'm saying is, if people brought stuff there when they had that, whatever you want to call it, paper disposal, they were bringing all kinds of stuff, and there was stuff dumped on that ground all the time, and I'm 100% for it, but what I'd like to see somebody do is do a sample of the ground and make sure it ain't contaminated. Other than that, I'm 100% for it. And I don't think I'm asking for too much, because every one of you know that it was a disaster. And I don't think I'm asking for much, just soil sample can't be that hard to do, I don't think.
I would have to.
That's all I've got.
All right.
But other than that, Bierman's, they're a great company. They do good quality work. I've known them. I've seen their work. I'm 100% for them. And I knew that sooner or later that land was going to get developed, so I'm 100% for them. But just make sure it ain't contaminated is all I'm asking as a neighbor.
Thank you. Understand? Thank you. All right. Anyone else to speak against this public hearing? Anyone here to speak for this public hearing?
Jason Melock, again, Farringer and Melock Law Office, 3919 25th Street. Once again, as mentioned in the earlier application regarding the Second Street, this again would be duplex. There would be no basements. We wouldn't be disturbing the dirt as far as that's concerned, as far as digging basements or anything like that. But just trying to think of some of the issues that were brought up. As far as neighboring properties and how those are being handled, I guess I can't necessarily speak to all of that, other than we're just going to be attempting to really what it's currently zoned at, which is R2, which is to build a duplex under the current zoning. It's just to alleviate perhaps some of the parking on the side streets, is to build that duplex under an R3 request for zoning. Otherwise, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Any questions, Councilman? Council members?
These are just the same as what you're doing down on Second Street, correct? And only 4 times instead of twice.
Correct.
Yeah, four of them.
Yeah.
And I assume with your rentals, you have an application process in which you identify who's living in those facilities, correct?
And I'll let Mark speak to that. My understanding is that Loop Rentals, currently they are owned by St. Bon's. There is a condition of an existing purchase agreement that if it's rezoned, the intent would be to sell those lots to Loop Rentals, who would then build and then rent them out.
Okay.
I'll let Mark, if you want to identify yourself first.
Mark Bierman on behalf of Loop Rentals, 1707 First Street. Yeah, the intent of these is to build duplexes with slab on grade that are more suitable for elderly or handicap. However, we will accept small families and whatnot, but we do interview them, make sure they're a good fit, and as such, when they're in there, we monitor them, make sure everything's kept up nicely, and there's no problems in the neighborhood, and we've never had a problem, so.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other? All right, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Well, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay.
But you have to abstain.
Motion passes.
Item 7E1, ordinance number 24-06, approving the rezoning.
Move the rules be suspended and ordinance number 2406 be read by number only.
Second.
Have a motion and a second that the rules be suspended and ordinance number 24-06 be approved by number. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Ordinance number 24-06.
Move that ordinance number 2406 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second that ordinance number 24-06 be adopted. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Brings us up to reports of city offices.
Item 9A, update on the Nebraska Department of Transportation 23rd Street Reconstruction Project.
It's starting.
Well, with 60-degree weather out and you can see a bunch of orange barrels on 23rd Street, thought it'd be a good idea to bring this back to the agenda on the Department of Transportation's 23rd Reconstruction Project. They're ready to start segment 2 of the project. So segment 2 again would be where they left off on the west side of segment 1. It's about 16th Avenue to 26th Avenue. Weather permitting, that would start the first week of March. Along with that, the same time period of first week of March, back on segment 1, the intersection of East 6th Avenue needs to be completed yet. That was something that they delayed. They were afraid that winter was going to get them, and actually it turned out it's a good thing that they did delay it, how it worked. So there's actually going to be kind of 2 areas of construction, I guess, if you will, for the first probably couple months of the project. So back on East 6th Avenue, they'll reconstruct that, but that's going to be in quadrants and segments of 4 corners, basically, if you want to think of it that way. Because it will always allow traffic to come off of East 6th Avenue onto the highway and vice versa. So they'll be doing it in quarters. So that's why it takes probably a little longer. It's probably a couple months doing it that way. By the time you tear everything up and pour every day for quarters, it's probably going to end up being about, guessing 8 weeks, weather permitting. So it's going to be a little bit of time on that one. So there will be a crossover in that area where you had it before. To cross over for East 6th Avenue for the first couple of months. And then, of course, segment 2 will have a crossover as well. So when they got done with segment 1, you might notice they didn't put all the curbing back by 16th Avenue. That's because of that crossover on the east side. And then the west one will be over on West 26th. So right now what they're doing is they're putting, they're transitioning some of the traffic signals from the temporary ones to the permanent ones that they can. And then they're starting to put up the temporary traffic signals at the intersections they need for this segment. So that's what's going on right now. Will be going on for the next couple weeks till they get moving. So I just wanted to provide you an update what was going on.
Appreciate it. Any comments for Mr. Bogus? Okay, thank you for that update. Brings us up to new business.
Item 13A, proposal from Security Equipment Incorporated in the amount of $29,560 for camera upgrades at the water park. This is CIP number 20-59.
I move the proposal from Security Equipment Incorporated for cameras upgrade be accepted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion?
Yes, obviously it's needed, especially with what happened over the weekend with graffiti and everything, but is there a reason why we only have 1 quote versus 2 or 3?
SEI, we do sole source basically with
Okay.
SEI because all of our equipment is through SEI and all of our backup software is based with them as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah, it's a shame that we can't have this all over the park to catch the immature idiots that like to go around and do what they did this past weekend. And I obviously would like to say more about them, but first of all, they wouldn't be paying attention, they wouldn't be listening, so I would just be wasting my breath. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 13B, quote from Danco Emergency Equipment in the amount of $81,045 for personal protective equipment for the fire department. This is CIP number 20-22.
Mr. Mayor, move that the quote from Danco Emergency Equipment for personal protective equipment be accepted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept this quote from Danco Emergency Equipment. Any discussion?
This budgeted?
No, this was.
Well, part of it is, but part of it is because of
Of our increase.
because of the additional people that you've all
Oh, okay, yeah.
approved.
Okay, that's what I was
What
wondering.
this is doing is getting us ready for the
For the-
9
yeah,
hires that
I
are going to be
understand
coming
that,
on in the
yeah,
next,
yeah.
you know.
I was just wondering if we had it
brief time.
budgeted already, but if we didn't have, I mean, that's all
And
we
I-
have to deal with.
from that segment of funds, right?
And Chief, you might want to add, but I know part of it is a budget number, but then there's some overflow.
Correct. This year in the CIP, we had $200,000 for PPE. We've gone ahead and placed an order to get us up with our existing staff to bring these 9 folks on. It's going to be additional $22,000, so we'll come out above the budget, $22,000.
Okay.
We have 60 right now to help cover this.
Same question as previous, Chief. Why only one quote? I don't think we sole source with Danco, do we?
We did. The turnout gear is Sourcewell. It's purchased off the Sourcewell contract.
Okay.
And then the other things we had quoted previously in the budget year, and they were the lowest price for those items.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Everyone comfortable? All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 13C, quote from Know Before in the amount of $14,973 for a 3-year subscription renewal of email training software.
Mr. Mayor, I move the quote from Know Before for email training software subscription be accepted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept this quote. Any discussion? I kind of thought "know before" might be a license plate we were trying to read. Know before, but anyway.
At least that night did.
Well,
Yeah, it's an idea.
all right, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 13D, comments from the mayor and city council members in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. No discussion may be held on this item.
Council members, anyone have any comments this evening? Yes, ma'am.
Just a FYI that February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, so as parents, if you have teenagers, just have those conversations with your youth. There's a lot of great resources with the Center for Survivors, but essentially 1 in 3 will have a relationship that is unhealthy in today's world. So from technology to verbal abuse to physical abuse, those are things to be aware of.
Thank you. I have a couple of comments. Just briefly, I'd like to give a shout out to the Columbus High boys bowling team for being the state champions this year. And then I'd also like to give a shout out to all Columbus area wrestlers who participated this past weekend in Omaha, and especially 2 Columbus High champions. And congratulations to Columbus High for a 3rd place finish. So I think we can all be proud of them. All right, we'll move on to, well, we don't have any resolutions. We'll move on to ordinances on their second reading.
Item 16A, ordinance number 24-02, amending the city code to authorize selling or distribution of food, drink, and other refreshments in any park through a special event permit packet.
It's the second reading.
No motion.
No motion. Any comment from any
Might ask
council?
the public to-
Any public comments? Any
I have a
Yes, sir.
question.
Go, sir.
Okay, it says in there about signage, putting in signs, okay. With our baseball fields, when we put up signs, do we need to come to the park board and get an okay to put signs in, or?
That wouldn't change with the sign process, you mean in the outfield and things
Yeah,
like that?
yeah.
That all stays the same.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I was just gonna say, if we have to do that, I mean, that's not a problem, but it's just the idea, we just need to know that we have to, you know.
No, this is just related to vendors,
Okay, okay.
signage, like food vendors or selling items, that kind of thing.
An outside organization of some sort, okay, very fine, good.
No. Any other comments? All right. Move on to ordinances on their third reading.
Item 17A, ordinance number 24-01, adopting the recodified Columbus City Code. The city code is on file in the city clerk's office.
Mr. Mayor, move that the adoption of ordinance number 24-01 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 24-01. Any discussion? Once again, I'd look down to the clerk's office and ask, has anyone come in and asked to see these recodified Columbus City Code?
I did.
All right, well, that's good. Just wanted to make sure the public knows they were available. All right. All right, we have
I
a,
have to say, it was easy to go through and find what I needed, and it was better than what we've had, let's put it that way.
very good. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes, meeting adjourned.
We do have a CDA meeting, so.
So let's see.